Steve, what do you think about that tonight?
What do I think? I think if I'm summarising it as soon after the game as this, I think we started the game really well. I think for the first 20 minutes we're the better side, we're pressing them, we're being creative, we're getting into the final third at ease. You've seen the Miller support on the feet because they suddenly seen a real good performance. And for some reason it's almost like a switch in it. We can see the goal from a set play, which we'll look back at, but we've got out-muscled as we did a couple of times already this season. And then from that to half time, I thought it was difficult for us. We worked hard. We got the opportunity from a Cam Dawson save to go in at 1-0 and get the opportunity to try and change it, bring a little bit of width and a little bit of pace and flair onto the pitch. And we tried that again after that 10 minutes. We jacked him on. I think then we had 15 minutes where we were really good. And it went really quiet here with him in. We miss a huge chance. Goals change games, Rob, in every level of football. And we miss a huge chance. I don't think the goalkeeper knows anything about it, but we should score. And then I think we've get into a bit of a groundhog situation, trying to create something, and then it's just a defensive mistake. I think with two players, I'm only got a first set. I've not seen it back, but a defensive mistake. But it's a really good finish, and I think from then on, obviously, we're chasing shadows.
Can you put your finger on why that switch flipped then, Steve? Because you started well, like you said, but then it just disappeared.
Well, I've said in the dressing room, so the players won't hear it and think this is any surprise. It's one or two players suddenly wanted to change how we'd set up as a team to play, and they started to do things differently. They had been doing for 20 minutes. For 20 minutes, the real commanded performance from those two, and then all of a sudden we're trying to take people on the edge of your box and giving the ball away. And you don't need to give a team with a support like Barnsley or Team Cubs does at New York. You don't need to give that support a reason to get up on their feet when they've been outplayed. So, and then they get the corner, and the corner actually comes from us giving the ball away near the bench. Sloppy play, and but if we're going to concede from corners as easily as that, it's a problem all season unless we sort it.
Just to be clear then, are you saying that players basically took it upon themselves to do what they wanted?
I think one or two just tried to change the game a little bit when we were so far on top. It's never about complacency. It's never about they think it's easy. I just think they think we could have an extra touch. We're so comfortable in the possession. We were giving them a real problem. But when you have a strategy, we just said to the players in there, you cannot take it upon yourself as an individual to go and change the game. I think if any, even in those two spells, the quality from set plays was poor. And normally the one or two lads that do that for us are very good, but they were poor. And then that doesn't create any momentum for you, as opposed to, if you look at Barnsley set players, they're putting on the money for the guys to physically go and have a challenge. We're not getting the opportunity for, like tonight, Raggett and Joes to go and have a challenge. If it was worth, I'll take second goal away, because I'm not sure, but what Sean Raggett's doing them. But I was really pleased with the two centre-backs. I think him and Joes were very good.
At the end of the game, the fans were very angry to the players, and they started singing "You're not fit to wear the shirts." Have they got a point in some of these players?
I think they've got a point when we're losing games. I've never been one to criticise supporters. Ultimately, they come and watch your club and they pay our wages. So I think we have to be respectful and say that I think it's a bit of a relapse after last week, to be fair. Rather than, because even at half time they were giving us a bit, and I'm thinking for the first 20 minutes, 25, we've been really good. I know we go a goal behind, but listen, I'm never one. I'm not one of them who's ever going to disrespect a Rotherham United fan, because I love this club from the day I leave this earth, and I've said it even when I wasn't here. So the one thing that they can know for a fact, that when we go home tonight, I won't sleep, and I'll hurt more than anyone. I'm not saying I hurt more than anyone, but I hurt equal to anyone on the planet.
What were you thinking? Because obviously some of the anger, it's football, it's aimed in your direction as well, as you're coming off at half time and at the end.
I'm the manager. I've sat at Celtic Park and I've been critical of Celtic managers, and so therefore you take the acclaim, which Rotherham fans are unbelievable at when it's good for you, and you know in South Yorkshire, as you know, every South Yorkshire club, including here, that you're going to get a bit when they're not happy with what they're watching, and given that we've started the season in a very ish fashion, I think if we take care of last week, I think there's probably a lesser reaction tonight. So we just need to get the opportunity now to freshen up, get back on the training ground on Monday. Boys have 2 or 3 days off. We need to freshen it up. A lot of players have played a lot of football, and we need some big signings to be available to us. You know, if we're here with a Wilkes and a Clark Harris, I would suggest there's probably a different fear in the Barnsley's players face, you know, heads, etc. when we're playing, and 2 experienced lads that perhaps wouldn't allow 1 or 2 players to do their own thing.
Yeah, I just wonder though, there's some big names on this pitch for this team though, aren't they? And I suppose that's what they're thinking, isn't it? They're thinking, you need to give us more. You need to give more to this team. And Derby as well against Barnsley here.
Names mean nothing, Rob. Names mean nothing. There is some big names. When we came to the football club, we seen some big names, but what we seen was nonsense. So names mean nothing. What means to those supporters more than anything is you can see that Sam Nimby didn't have his best of games by any stretch, but you can see when he harried and he chased and when they fights for the cause and the jersey, you can see the fans to a man getting up and applauding him. And but the bottom line is names don't mean anything to me, and they shouldn't to our supporters. There's some big names, but some big names when they leave, not if. When they leave this football club under me or under someone else, then maybe they'll be wakened up to who phones them.
How do you turn it around? You know, you've got this international break coming up, a bit of time. How do you turn it around, Steve?
Well, the nice thing is we'll get the opportunity to freshen some up that's played, if not every minute, a lot of minutes. We get the opportunity. We get the opportunity to get more work into it. Actually, Sean Raggett, who I thought was good for the main part, maybe the second goal, I'll need to look at it. Zach Giles, he suddenly come from nowhere and played some football. So Johnson, Clark Harris, Malik Wilkes, you know, they're not just players, they're huge players. And so we get the opportunity for them to almost, if not be ready for when we go to Crawley, then no far after it. So what do? We work hard on the training ground, and we'll go to Bradford and represent that competition as best we can, but then we'll go to Crawley, and I've always said it, then we have, you know, best part of 8-9 weeks to keep ourselves in that picture and before we can positively strengthen the group.
Are you surprised how tough this job's been so far?
Well, I think people know my views. I've discussed it many times with you guys privately. I think it was a lot tougher than anyone could imagine when you're coming in, and how we're going to turn it. But we also have some players not in form that need to, maybe this break will help them get that form, because we've still, you're right to say it, we've got some good players, and sadly for all of us, we get some players that fall short, in my opinion, of being a top 16.
What's the message to the fans tonight who maybe have lost faith in the team, in the club, maybe even in yourself, Steve?
Well, I can't answer for myself, but I can only answer at the end of the day. I pick a team and I put it on the pitch. I think the only glimmer I can give them is Jack Holmes scores. It's a different game. They were buckling at one. They were buckling with the pressure, and then we make the chance. And what we've been unfortunate with is, you see Wrexham, they make one chance in 10 seconds and score a goal. And if we score that, I would have thought there was a different outcome tonight. I think a lot of people would think that as well, given how dominant we were for that 20-minute spell. But the message is we'll go away and we'll work hard and we'll regroup. And you have to say it's over a season and not over 3 months, because we're managing things that fans don't really want to know about.
Yeah, I suppose, look, just finally, Steve, I will only put what some fans may want me to put to you. When you talk about a dominant spell, they'll look at the stats. They'll see 18 shots to 8. They'll see 6 shots on target to 1. They'll see nearly 60% of the ball to 40% of the ball, and they may say, or they want me to say to you, what about that is dominant?
Barnsley, not in spells. We had 2 15, 20-minute spells. Barnsley were the better team. Barnsley deserve to beat us. Dominant spells, Rob, doesn't mean you're making chances and being overly creative. We tried to introduce creative players to help us create in the second half. So, you know, I'm not here under any disguise to say, oh, we were unlucky tonight. Barnsley deserve to beat us. 2-0 is probably a harsh score line at the end of it. I know Cameron makes a save, but I go back to goals change games, and it could be 1-1. And that should be 1-1. That's a simple chance at League One level. The goalkeeper knows nothing about it, simply hits them. But the fans are entitled to be heavily critical when they're watching how we played for, as you say, 60% of that game, because 20-minute spells isn't good enough.